G'day, it's Nicola here. I've got a case study for you this week. It is on Once a King, Now a Prince. It's a wild rock and roll memoir by New York agent Ira Blacker. The show today is brought to you thanks to the new Forever Young Autobiographies membership, which helps you start and finish a life story project. And there'll be some free entry for you if you stick around to the end, and I'll give you all the information. So the full title of this book is Once a King, Now a Prince, The True Tale of Family Dysfunction, the Mob, Sex, Drug, Rock and Roll. And it's very unique, it's very startling, and in places it's particularly heartbreaking. But it's been released just last month in January by Book Baby Memoir. And I caught up with Blacker so we could do this show about how he came to write this new memoir, what's it about, and his tips for us for our own life story creating. So what is it all about? What is Once a King, Now a Prince all about? Well, it starts a lot with his family, his childhood, their dysfunction. Soon enough, he's leaving home and he's working with a former mob member in the music industry. So there's a lot of danger, potential failure, but he comes out a real success and is responsible for bringing half of the United Kingdom rock and roll bands to the US during the 1960s and 1970s. So we're talking about representing the likes of Rod Stewart, ZZ Top, the Eagles, and many more. And in fact, Blacker is also referenced in books put out by Kiss, by Rush, by Kraftwerk. He didn't have any intention to write this memoir at all, but he had lots of friends' encouragement to start this writing journey. So let's jump into now what that looked like. He said it started about 10 years ago when he began a journal about his feelings, especially the positive and negative feelings around his childhood. Now, in his words, it was a self-help journal, and this grew and grew and grew until it was an autobiography draft. And then he had to organize it, get it in the right format, and up to today where he's got it published and it's out there for the world. So it wasn't easy. He said there was some parts where he struggled, most notably hit the self-doubt. He doubted who would want to read this story of mine, and he doubted about making it public. Should he or shouldn't he? And also he had to make that transition from like doing a journal to doing some writing. So he had to sit himself down in a serious fashion and just plow through the writing. But it was all worth it. He says there was wonderful chapters, including one he's really proud of by Rush, where he helped them get a record deal, airplay, and ultimately a tour. And there's also mention of Deep Purple and an exclusive contract for them for 3 years. So an amazing writing journey. And at the end of it, he's got some tips for us now as life story creators. So here we go. First one from Blacker is you can't fake truth. Very, very true this is, because readers can see through. They can see through famous names. They can see through PR polish. They know when you're not giving us everything. So as Blacker says, you really need to bleed the truth onto the page. I love that. His second tip is closely related. Okay, you can't ghostwrite soul. You can't minimize your personality. You have to put it out there. You have to be stripped back. You have to be raw. You have to be messy. As Blacker says, you need to be like an unmastered demo that somehow hits harder than the finished track. And I love these tips because, yeah, they really do make for an authentic story for your readers. And that's what we're going to all this effort for. You know, you want to do a good job. And to do that, 1, you can't fake the truth, and 2, you can't ghost write soul. So fantastic tips from Blacker. So there you go. That's a quick overview of a case study. It's a music agency founder who survived the mob to represent Rod Stewart, ZZ Top, and the Eagles. And you'll find all of this information and more over at my website, foreveryoungautobiographies.com/Once a King, Now a Prince. And I hope you'll take away from this that you can start a life story with a journal. It's a great starting point, a great stepping stone to something maybe a bit bigger, bit better that you can share and have others learn from. So there you go. I'd love, while you're over at the website, to let me know, have you met any famous musicians? Blacker's met many. I'd love to hear your encounters. You can leave me a comment here or over at the website. And in fact, you can leave me a question over at foreveryoungautobiographies.com/contact. Anything to do with life story creating, whether you're starting or finishing, I'd love to help. So please drop me a line. Before I head off, I mentioned the new Forever Young Autobiographies membership. I'm so excited to bring this to you. It's been a long time coming. I've created all of my trainings, all of my content into a step-by-step guide that you can follow to create whatever it is you're working on for your life story project. We're building a community of life story creators, so we have that network to help support each other, and I'm also in there with monthly coaching. Now you can sign up for free for the first 30 days. I really encourage you to jump in, check it out, have a look around. Go to foreveryoungautobiographies.com/membership. I'd love to have you on board. Before I head off for today, it'd be wonderful if you could follow, subscribe, like the show, leave it a review, share it with a friend, and until next time, happy writing.